Good morning, everyone. Thomas Fleming here. Well, I can say good morning because for once in a long time I'm out early in the morning. I mean, it's not before sunrise. I think it's maybe 9 o'clock. And the temperature's maybe mid-50s. We're going to get, I think, to 80 degrees today, so we're moving slowly into summer. I, of course, don't mind the heat, so I will like it from here until next fall, I guess. Before I get started, I just want to say that God has a sense of humor. I was talking on my last video, I think it was, or the one before that, about needing a quiet place and how I like to have a nice quiet park. And where I'm at is quiet most of the time. It's midweek, and I'm not complaining. This is funny. A family moved in yesterday, a large family. They took up 3 sites. I'm camping in one with all my big tent and everything, but this family took up 3 sites, all alongside me. They have a number of generations there. They have the patriarchs, mother and father. I'm thinking they're sons, along with some little munchkins, but children running around, playing, making a lot of noise, playing, yelling and screaming, doing the stuff that children do. They've also got 2 toddlers, very small, 2 years old maybe, who cry a lot, and a dog. So God's saying, look, you have no control over this. He understands the situation. I like quiet to talk to God. Well, I'm out here first thing this morning. There's nobody out here. So we've been talking. And that's how I get my messages. If it's not quiet, I can't get my messages. But I have to get away from my tent sometimes. That's all right. Today my knee's not bothering me too bad. It's been bothering me mostly because of this cold. But it's doing pretty good today. All right. We can't deal with things that are around us. We can't control it. Only God can. Some things can be a minor annoyance, which I run into occasionally, and I ask God for forgiveness for being annoyed at people having fun. This park is a public park for everybody. So I have to be flexible. And I guess that's the key. So whatever we run into in life, you have to be flexible. And life, unfortunately, for most people, is not getting better. It's getting worse. We know the outcome. We know where we're headed. We know things are getting progressively worse. We know that we're going to see this in a little bit when I look at the scriptures, that this is like the time of Noah. God killed off all but 7 people on the face of the earth because of their behavior. And it's going to happen again here soon, like the days of Noah and like the days of Lot. They got out of town just in time, and the whole city was destroyed. Cities, Sodom and Gomorrah. I've talked about this before. The Bible has the phrase, don't be afraid, over 350 times in the Bible. People are afraid. They're afraid of surroundings and scenarios, but they're also afraid of seeing heavenly beings, if you will. When Jesus comes to talk to anybody, it's usually in a situation where he has to tell them, don't be afraid. When they were out on the boat and it's stormy and Jesus comes walking out on the water, They think it's a ghost. They're afraid. He tells them, don't be afraid. Now Peter speaks up, if it's you, Lord, tell me to come out and walk on the water to you, and I'll get out of the boat and come to you. He had enough faith to ask that, but not enough to stay on top of the water. One of the maintenance people is out going by in his truck. They check this place like a mother hen every day, multiple times, make sure everything's just right. Yeah. So the bottom line is that we don't know what's coming. It's not important enough for God to tell us daily the detail of what's going to go on in the day. You wouldn't need any faith for that. Instead, what we're told is trust God, trust Jesus to take care of us. We know that He loves us. God does, and Jesus is God. Everything that we encounter is something that God already knows about because He created the entire timeline from beginning to end. And He knows where we're at. And He's got a good memory. He doesn't have to have an index reminder of, oh, this is going to happen today. I got to make sure I'm ready for that. No, it's all in his, I say in his head, but whatever means he has to remember. The sun is bright. All the time that I worked in TV and movies, I understand now why if the sun was out, they put a screen up to block it. So you don't get shadows like that, hard shadows. And then they'd come back in and relight with regular lights to get a smooth, even flow of light on somebody. See, I got hard shadows on this side because the sun's right there. And in the evening, I've noticed that when the light is behind me, which it is most of the time because this park is oriented north-south, when I sit and record this, the sun will travel behind me. So it's very bright back here, and I'm in the shadows. I have screens that you can hold up that reflect light, but I need someone to do that. I have studio lights that I can bring out, but I have to carry them. They run on batteries, and I have to keep the batteries charged. If I had a whole team like a movie production, there'd be a lighting department. They'd come out here, they'd get a stand-in to sit where I'm at, and they'd adjust all the cameras and all the lighting until they get the scene framed just right. And if I got up and walked, that's a different framing. They'd change it for that. That's why it takes so long to make a TV show or a movie. Now, if they're working inside, it's easier to light because outside it changes. That sun moves constantly, and it takes them so long to set up. That sun will move 20 degrees before they get the shot going. I was in Mule, the Clint Eastwood movie, where he's a drug runner. Not deliberately, he's an old man and he gets conned into delivering packages that happen to be drugs. And we're filming this. I was part of a construction crew. There was a time where they were tailing him to make sure he got the drugs delivered, and a construction crew got in between Clint Eastwood and his car, and he drove his car. He drove the black SUV. And the tail car got stopped by a construction crew to bring a backhoe across. I was on the other side in the shade because it was a hot summer day, and all I did was open the gate for the backhoe to drive in and then close it. You can see me, but I'm not very well recognizable, but I was there. But because I was in the shade, Clint Eastwood would watch the scene from where I was at if he wasn't in it. And even if he was, he would block it out from over there. And I'm standing next to him, and we did a little bit of talking because I've been in 4 films with him. And the DP, the director of photography, comes over and goes, "I don't think we're going to get your last shot in because the sun's going down." It's taken them literally all day to film the parts, this scene that is just, 2 minutes, 3 minutes in the film. Took them all day to film. So he goes, "I don't think we're going to get all your scenes in today." Clint Eastwood turns to him and goes, "Well, a man's got to know his limitations." Right out of a Dirty Harry movie. And I looked at him and said, "You're still using that?" He just smiled. He knows who he is. But in any case, we can't control life. Only God can. We have to work with what's given to us. And that's why we follow the Bible where it says, "Don't be afraid." I'm going to read a little bit out of Luke. And then we're going to ping pong in John and Matthew for a little bit. So it's Luke 17:26. Okay, in 26. "As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be also in the days of the Son of Man." We're talking about his second coming. We're not talking about the rapture. Now, we know the rapture is somewhere between 10 and 7 years before the second coming. We don't know. And I've got a big gap in there. It might be 7, it might be a year or two before the tribulation starts. We don't know. It might be right up to the moment. The rapture might trigger the tribulation. I'm hoping that's more closely because it looks like we're getting real close. Okay. Just like the days of the Son of Man, they ate, they drank, they married wives, they were given in marriage, until the day that Noah entered the ark and the flood came and destroyed them all. Likewise also in the days of Lot, they ate, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they built. A normal day for most of us. But on the day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Even so will be the day when the Son of Man is revealed. So again, we're talking about his second coming, but we're talking about it's going to be every day the same as before until he gets here. And then it will be too late. And you got to realize that Noah was fairly old when he started building the ark, but old in those days, they were living to be 900 years. This is pre-flood. And even after the flood, they lived for longer than normal years that we have today. I've talked about this in the past, but it took Noah a long time to build this ark. And it doesn't say that he had to fight off people, that people were mad that he was building this. They just thought he was crazy. And it took a long time. And it took a long time to flood the earth. It rained for 40 days and nights. Now, I have my own opinion on all this stuff, which isn't normal. I think this was a long, long time ago, far longer than the 6,000 years that everybody says. I think the earth is as old as the scientists say it is. Billions of years. We're not going to find signs of this. All right, so that's what's coming. So we're going to look at some examples. Let's go to Matthew 14:27. Well, I'm going to go back to 22 just to make sure we have the context. Immediately, Jesus made his disciples get into the boat and go before him to the other side while he sent the multitudes away. We don't know how many people there, but we know we fed 5,000 at one point. So there's thousands of people. And he dispersed them. He sent the boat away so that they wouldn't be there to keep the attraction going. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. See, this is what I'm talking about. You have to get alone with God. He was with a whole bunch of people. He couldn't pray down there. He went on top of the mountaintop. Well, there's not a whole lot of mountains in this part of Georgia, so I just got to go find a lonely swing like I've got now. And early, because it won't be too long before people will show up. We've got spring break coming. It's going to be noisy. Still waiting to hear about my son coming back. I don't know yet. It's supposed to be the 28th, but he's got a couple of things that if he gets them done, he'll be back. Otherwise, he might have to stay and finish. All right. So the boat's out there. The boat's now in the middle of the sea, being tossed by the waves, for the wind was contrary. Now in the fourth watch of the night, early in the morning, Jesus went to them walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It's a ghost." And they cried out for fear. These guys traveled with Jesus, and yet they were afraid of circumstances. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, "Be of good cheer, it is I, do not be afraid." How many times do we have to be in situations where we can become afraid? Jesus is with there all the time. He's with us all the time. There's no reason for us to be afraid. We have a better situation now than they did. We have the Spirit of God. Gotta flick the pages so I can turn the page. I'm trying to mark the next chapter. He traveled with them, but if he wasn't with them, then he had to look from God's point of view to see what was going on. God's omnipresent. Jesus at that time was still a man. Now, God could tell him, but a lot of these things were set up on purpose. And even when he came to them, the waves may have calmed down a little bit, but they were still bad. Because when Peter walked out in the water to him, he was frightened by the waves. He's looking at Jesus, and he's frightened by the waves. We can be distracted by what's going on in the world, and we shouldn't be. We all have this problem. I have this problem sometimes. How am I going to deal with this? God help me. And just like Jesus shows up at the right time, they deal with it. Now he gets in the boat and they're immediately where they need to be. So we can do amazing things on earth. And so can we. Greater things than these you will do, Jesus said to him. Okay, now I'm going to turn to John 14:27. That was Matthew 14:27. Now we're in John 14:27. And I'm going to go back to 25, the beginning of the paragraph. These things I have spoken to you while being present with you, but the Helper, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, he will teach all things and bring to remembrance all things that I have said. I have to rely on this heavily because my memory is not good. Short term's okay, long term's not good. And I don't visualize. You know all that. So in 27, peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you, not as the world gives, do I give to you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. Jesus is reassuring everybody. And he's reassuring them, talking about going away. We're in that stage now where he has gone, but we do have the Spirit. You have heard me say, I'm going away and coming back to you. If you loved me, you would rejoice because I said I am going to the Father, for my Father is greater than I. He's going back to heaven. We should rejoice for that. He's leaving them to go to heaven to be with the Father. If we lose a loved one, we should be rejoicing for them that they have gone to be with the Father. Remember that. Yes, we can mourn their absence, but don't mourn their loss because they're in heaven. Jesus is giving us so much to hold on to. And we have the Spirit. I had some other verses, and I'm just going to list them here. Matthew 10:31 and John 6:20. They talk about not being afraid. Jesus is going to take care of us. Don't worry about it. Somebody else driving in. I don't want to bother to look away. Anyhow, be of good cheer. Be of good cheer. We long for the time for Jesus to say to us, peace be with you, for it is I. Do not be afraid. Because I don't know what it's going to look like for us. The world's not going to see the rapture, but we are. And we're going to be part of it instantaneously. We're being snatched away from the claws of Satan. So we will be part of it. Is it going to be an e-ticket for old Disneyland viewers? Like I said, they're watchovers like mother hens. That's a different ranger, all making their rounds. State parks are safe. Okay, well, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to go back to my tent and edit this like I normally do. And I'm going to enjoy the noise of the family next to me who's enjoying the week. If you can't deal with God in the environment you're in, change the environment. You can do that. And if I need to spend time, I have noise-canceling headphones. I wore them a good part of the time yesterday when I was in my tent. The rest of the time I'm out. If I'm out and about, it doesn't bother me a bit. And I didn't have to drive into town to upload my files. I've noticed that I'm out of sync. Rumble is one video behind. I'm trying to decide if I want to make 2 videos for YouTube to sync them up or to not post one on Rumble. I don't know. I might make 2 for YouTube. My YouTube numbers have been dropping as if I had walked away from my account. The filtering is going on. I need your help to make sure you like and share the videos on YouTube. They're trying to get rid of me. People are not being presented my videos, so they don't know to watch them. If they're not already a member of the channel, they won't get a notification. And you got to click the bell icon to be notified. I try to post every morning at 6, but if it doesn't remind you, you might forget. So click the bell icon. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you're on Rumble, well, there is a like on the general video, but then you want to punch the glove, the Rumble thing. I'm not sure what all that means right now because I haven't really had time to study Rumble. I'm just there. But I've only got 137, maybe 38 subscribers on my videos. Come on, we got 3,000 here. Go to Rumble. I'm hoping that if the rapture's soon, YouTube will stay running. But I don't know. That's our ace in the hole, if you will. Plan B. And Telegram is there too. I'm not using Telegram a lot right now because most everybody went straight to Rumble. Even though I post the links on Telegram, I'm not doing a lot with Telegram right now because Twitter has become a friendlier place. Whether it stays that way or not, I don't know. But I can post there, and I've got, I think, 7,000 followers on Twitter. So I have a better audience if I can use it. On Telegram, again, it's less than Rumble, or close to it, I don't remember. We're going to get through this, all of us. Keep planting seeds. They may not grow until after we're gone. That doesn't mean you shouldn't plant them. Somebody else can harvest. For the apostles, it happened all the time. They would witness to somebody and then go on. They wouldn't see the results. Paul would write multiple letters because he would get detained. It's hard to visit a city you just preached in if you're in prison. But he survived it all until the very end. And he got the message out, and we have all of his great works in his letters. Keep working until the end, until there's no way you can do any more work. And don't be afraid. Till we meet in the clouds, God bless.